So we have a unique opportunity because we just finished up a Leo course here in Williamson County that's in our local area in Texas. And we have a unique opportunity from one of the officers that were in the course to come in and kind of talk about what you thought about the course. So take the opportunity to introduce yourself, and then let's talk about your experience and what you thought about the training.
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Mark. I've been a police officer for 7 years as of yesterday, actually.
Nice. Congratulations, man. Yeah.
So 7 years. I did 6 years in a big agency, big city agency. And then about a year ago, my wife and I, we moved here to Texas, and now I work for a medium-sized agency. So much different level of crime and different experience, but I really enjoy it. But been a police officer for 7 years, Army National Guard for going on 14 years now, I believe.
Wow, that's good. Hey, thanks for your service.
Yeah.
Man. I appreciate it. I know how tough that is, man.
Yeah, definitely. So it keeps me busy. But yeah, I had an opportunity a couple weeks ago to go your Leo course, and I was really fortunate. My department, they allowed me to go to it, and they paid for the training. The biggest reason that got approved was because now you guys offer TCOL credit for Texas peace officers.
Yep.
So that was really big in getting me approved for that course.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. That's why we worked so hard to get it, man. And so those folks there at Wilco, they helped out with that too. So there was a lot of people lent to having that come to fruition. So I'm glad that it worked out for you and the rest of the folks that were able to capitalize on it, man.
Yeah, it was really good. And yeah, it was a great course. 3 days. I'll tell you, by the end of it, I was smoked. I was hurting. I was sore, but I was really satisfied. It was a great course. For anyone who doesn't know how the course is formatted, it's 3 days. Now, the first half of each day is either classroom or on the mats doing jiu-jitsu, DTs or combatives, whatever your agency calls it. And the second half of the day was on the range shooting. The first day was all rifle, I believe. Second day was pistol, and the third day was combination, working on transitions, shooting from cover, etc. I don't come from a tactical background. I come from patrol and investigations. I did plainclothes investigations in my last agency. So we had some tactical stuff, but I never worked on a TAC team or anything like that. So my knowledge of shooting is pretty basic to what a patrol officer or a detective does. I don't have any small unit training or anything like that. So I take any opportunity I can to get some shooting training in, because it's not something I get to do every day like the TAC guys. So when I saw this opportunity come up, I saw this TCOL credit available, I jumped on it, and thankfully my training staff were, go for it. So what I really liked about the course was you hit the basics hard. I've heard in jiu-jitsu, at least, black belts talk about how a black belt is a white belt who never quit, and they're just really, really, really good at the basics. Same thing with shooting. I think that sometimes I see guys get too wrapped around the axle when it comes to, fancy shooting. I don't know what else to call it. I think getting really good at the basics is really important. So I like how you guys hit hard on the basics, and you gradually ramped it up. By the end of the third day, we're doing some pretty, fairly advanced stuff, shooting from cover, sprinting, doing stress shoots, stuff like that. Even though I was smoked by the end of the third day, I kind of wished it was a 4-day course. I feel like by the end of that third day, for myself anyway, I'm reaching that point where okay, now I'm getting really challenged, and I'd like to keep capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
So I think a fourth day would go a long way with helping cops anyway get really good at dynamic shooting instead of just looking at the target and shooting at it.
Yeah, we try really hard. So we found in the industry there's kind of a reason for that. Even though I would love to add a fourth day, and I think if there's an appetite for it, we do it. There's kind of a reason, we found this sweet spot, whereas people start to trail off after 3 days. But I know exactly what you mean, because I've been in those courses before too, where in the military you got sent to a course and you're right when I feel like I'm getting into the hot spot, now I'm in the zone, I'm ready to go. So let's really feed me something hard. Let's really ramp it up. But the problem, and then it dies off, you're you got to say goodbye, man. I always hate that. I wish we could train for weeks. I wish we could do a full, cephalic type training like we do, where it's 2 weeks straight through. It's just most people can't pry that into their lives. And we find that after the third day, it starts to drop off sharply, man. You are welcome to come back and do it. Mark's selling himself short. He's one of the best shooters that was at the course. He's an exceptionally good shooter, very disciplined in the sense that he knows his shooting level, and he shoots well within that. He's an incredible marksman. He was easily in the top 3, if not the best one that was out there. But that's kind of why I asked you to come here, because it's clear you're a good broker of your skills. So, Mark, why as a law enforcement officer do you feel like this type of training is important?
Yeah. So you talked in the course, back up a little bit. I really liked how the first half of the day was talking about situational awareness. And you talked about stress inoculation. That was a key phrase that you put out multiple times. And you hear that word a lot in the military. I haven't heard it much in the police world. So I appreciate that was brought into law enforcement. But stress inoculation, it's intentionally putting yourself through stressful situations so that you raise the threshold of the stress that you can tolerate. So being a law enforcement officer, especially on patrol, which people can debate, but in my personal opinion, I think patrol is the most dangerous job in the police world, because every situation you're going into is unknown. You never know if you're going to be drawing your weapon or if you're going to going hands-on with somebody. So in this course, it combined both of them. A lot of guys, they hit the firearms really steadily and they hit it hard, and that's a good thing. A lot of my friends are extremely good shooters. However, and you brought this up in the course too, how likely are you to discharge your weapon on duty as opposed to be going hands-on with somebody? Vastly more likely to be going hands-on with somebody. Yet the vast majority of law enforcement officers, they train a ton of handgun and rifle stuff, but they don't ever train DTs.
Yeah, it's tough.
Or it's like you get 8 hours in a year that your department provides,
Yeah.
and then you forget it 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So a course like this provides you the opportunity to really hit both things hard, and then you're in an environment where we didn't combine combatives and shooting together, but you combine the concepts together so that in a situation, you know how to transition from one to the other. So it is really important and beneficial for me as a law enforcement officer to get a bunch of really quality shooting and then getting really good quality hands-on training on the mats as well.
Yeah. I think most of them they talk about, they either say that they don't have enough opportunity for DT or any work in that realm, or like they don't have the opportunity because either their department doesn't provide adequate, or they just don't have the training area for it. Luckily, Wilco's got a fantastic, that facility was amazing. You know,
awesome.
A combined range and training facility. It's an awesome place to train. And those guys, I've been to Austin too. They have the Austin Academy. They have an awesome training, and I train with a bunch of people down there. And so it's a great place. So not everybody has that. You know, if you go out to some of the places here in Texas, not everybody has that at their disposal, or they don't have an expert on staff, or it's just, you know, like there's so much for law enforcement officers. I mean, I understand there's so much that a law enforcement officer has to do now, and so much mandatory training that by the time they whittle down their busy day, there's only a little bit left for that. And they're humans, man. They get burnt out, you know. And the last thing I want to do is go, you know, go spend the little bit of time they have to shore up, you know, reports or whatever, or go home and see their family. And now they're in this position where they got to trade that for fighting. And I wish they didn't have to make that decision. And I can understand how they would decide not to and make the decision to go be a part of their family's lives, for sure. So we ask a lot of our law enforcement officers. Make no mistake, we ask a lot of our military. But I was in the military, and I think I said it there in the course. I was in special operations in the military, but nothing I ever did was nearly as remotely hard as walking out into the unknown here every day and not knowing what you're getting into with little to no support, especially in some of these places in Texas. They're, you know, miles and miles from anybody who's going to support them.
Definitely.
You know, they're definitely on their own. So, man, kudos to you that. And you know both worlds since you're military and law enforcement. It's sometimes you're the lone guy out there, you know, and all you have is all you have. So I want everybody to be, you know, I want everybody to have all those tools, but I understand that time is a commodity and they can only spend it. Sometimes they don't have the resources. There are opportunities where they do have it and maybe they pass it up. And I'm glad that there's law enforcement officers out there that don't. Like I said, if I'm calling 911, Mark's the guy I want responding because he's well suited in both those, or he's well equipped in both those arenas. But I try to be understanding, but sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but you can't get it to drink. Some people just aren't into, you know, defensive tactics. And then sometimes there are people, you know, and I understand the criticality of shooting too, because when you got to draw your weapon in defense or in offense as a law enforcement officer, you have to know that it's going to go your way.
Absolutely.
Right. So obviously a lot of attention has to be put towards that, but I wish all law enforcement officers could get more training there. I wish they could get more training in defensive tactics. I understand that they need lots of training in human contact and all those things, because really they're ambassadors that have to deal with multicultural, multi-system, multi-scenario, every day, all day. So, and that's a lot to ask from any human. So thanks a lot for doing what you do. I respect it incredibly. And, and if we can provide any of that to anybody from whether it's from your department or any department out there, that's what we aim to do, and try to get it to where they can do it. They don't have to pay out of pocket to do it. That was the whole goal. I'm very happy to hear that you were happy with the course. I'd be happy to hear about any improvements we can make. It was awesome having you here. Thanks for your testimonial, and I appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate you being a
awesome
law enforcement. It's my pleasure training with you.
Thanks, Matt.